When you hold a high-ranking position, you always have to be in your element. Your investors are counting on you to meet client demand, and your actions and decisions can severely impact the bottom line, not to mention the lives of those under your chain of command. So you always have to be in the zone, but it doesn't help if your commute to work stresses you out even before you get there. Hence, you need something that's extremely comfortable, and you know you owe it to yourself to also get something that's extremely luxurious. Something like this, the GAC GM8. The GM8 or GN8, depending on how you want to call it, is technically a minivan, but it feels more like a yacht on wheels. And that's exactly what GAC were trying to achieve when they created this. This is a luxury cruiser. And when you use the word luxury to describe a vehicle, it goes without saying that it needs to have all the bells and whistles. And that's exactly what we have here. Even before you step inside, you can see that it has LED headlights with DRLs that makes its way to the bottom of the grille, which is very fluidic in design. The grille itself is massive. The only thing I'm not particularly fond of, although it's not too offensive, are these creases on the side of the bumper. I feel that they could have done away with that and just stretched this a little further to give it a wider stance. But that's just me. Now, when it comes to design, there really isn't much you can do with a van, and I'm glad that GAC didn't make any desperate attempts to give this some design cues. Everything here is simple, and that is never a bad thing. You'll see that the body lines are subtle. The greenhouse is huge, which is a must for any van, and the silhouette of the greenhouse is very straightforward. The lines are all straight and parallel, nothing too outrageous. In fact, I prefer this side profile over the Toyota Alphard. The GM8 also rolls on 18-inch wheels, wrapped in Michelin tires. And I think they're just the right size. They do a good job in filling the wheel wells, and you still get a decent amount of rubber to give it a comfortable ride. Now towards the end, you'll see that the railing for the doors is nicely integrated, and you also get this D-pillar that's blacked out. And what that does is it gives it a floating roof design as well as wraparound windows. The simplistic design theme is carried over to the rear end, and I just love how clean this looks. It's clean without being dull. You get these LED taillights and an LED bar in the middle that makes it look like one piece. You get nicely integrated dual exhausts and a spoiler that isn't too obnoxious. But my favorite design piece here is the concealed wiper. It just makes it look so clean. Now this has a power assisted tailgate, but my only gripe here is it doesn't have a proximity sensor. So when the doors are locked and you try to open it, it won't open. So you either have to unlock the doors with the key fob or you can open it from here. But in any case, still appreciate the fact that it has a power tailgate. Now once this is open, you'll see that there's enough cargo space even with the third row seats up. You can fold the third row seats to give you more cargo room, but in case you have to maximize the seating capacity, there will still be a bit of room for some luggage. But the most important part of a minivan is its interior space. So let's go check that out. Now, if you're lucky enough to own something like this, chances are these are the seats that everyone will be fighting over. And it's not like the other seats are bad, but these seats are just on a different level. So obviously, you get these armrests and really soft leather. But aside from that, you also get these butterfly headrests, which are extremely soft. And then when you open this, you'll find that there are a few buttons here. And one, you can really stretch out by using these leg rests. These seats also provide 3-stage heating and ventilation, but the best part is the massage function, and you can even control which part of your body you want the seats to massage. But overall, it does a really good job. I could stay here all day, but let's move on with the review because I might end up dozing off here. So other niceties here at the back include rear air vents for all the occupants. You also get LED lights and ambient lighting to really sweeten the mood. There's also adequate storage because you get cup holders here, a USB port and cigarette lighter, and an additional cubby underneath. Another nice touch is the fact that you can roll these windows down. And I also like the fact that you have a control panel here, which isn't that hard to reach. And you can control the AC, the temp, the fan speed, and your ambient lighting, as well as the sunshade. Now this is what really sets a minivan apart, because these third row seats can seat 3 adults without making them feel like a bunch of sardines. You get adequate knee and headroom, and it's also quite comfortable. You get these armrests with really soft padding. I really wouldn't mind sitting here for a long drive, but let's see what it's like behind the wheel. So without a doubt, the best seats in the house are back there, the second row seats. But if Mang Alphard decides to take the day off and you find yourself having to do driving duties for the family, I'm sure you won't find yourself complaining, because this is still a very nice place to be. This cabin space is just exquisite. You get soft touch leather on the dash and over here with contrast stitching. You also get quilted leather on the door cards and wood grain paneling that will really appeal to all the titos out there. Now these seats are extremely comfortable, and the best part about it is it's really easy to find your ideal driving position because you have power adjustable seats, and you also get a tilt and telescopic steering wheel. I also love the placement of this gear selector because you can operate it without having to move forward. You can move it so easily while keeping your back planted on this seat. Now at first glance, the sheer number of buttons here may seem overwhelming, but once you get acquainted with them, they're fairly easy to use and they are logically placed. Now the ergonomics are fairly good, everything is still well within reach. However, the AC controls seem a bit too close to the driver that when I'm driving, I have to look down quite a fair bit in order to operate them. But I think that just takes some getting used to. And if you're so inclined, you can also use the touchscreen for that. Now speaking of touchscreen, you get an adequately sized infotainment system that comes standard with Apple CarPlay. Unfortunately, it doesn't have Android Auto, but the sound quality is actually very good as the frequency response is fairly broad. You also get a reverse camera, which provides a fairly decent image. Now for your instrument cluster, you get an analog tach and speedometer, but you still get an LCD display in the middle, which shows you vital information. Now having access to a minivan, and such a nice one at that, I think it would be foolish of me not to take my family out on a road trip. So I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So when you get behind the wheel of a van, the last thing you expect is an engaging driving experience. But at the very least, a van, especially one as luxurious as this, has to deliver a comfortable and relaxing driving experience. And that's exactly what you get with the GM8. The drive is just so relaxing. I decided to take the family out to Clark, which is about 100 kilometers away from the city. And I've been driving pretty much the whole day because we've had several stopovers. And I must say that it has been extremely relaxing. The NVH in this van is very good. It suppresses all the noise, and the ride comfort is just up there. It's a stellar experience, not only for the driver, but also the passengers on board, especially the ones on the second row, as they get the massage seats. Now, in terms of power, I must say that it is extremely adequate. Under the hood, you get a 2-liter turbocharged engine which pumps out 199 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque. Now, this isn't a rocket ship, but despite its size and its weight, the van always feels light on its feet. So it makes the driving experience even less stressful. Because if you don't hear the engine struggle, that also leads to less fatigue on the driver's part. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can't expect a visceral or a sporty driving experience behind the wheel of any van. But I was quite surprised that the steering ratio in this thing is actually really quick. And that does a lot to make the van feel a lot smaller than it actually is. And it also makes the turning radius fairly tight. So this is actually easy to squeeze in and out of tight spaces despite its size. Now in terms of fuel efficiency, you'll do around 8 kilometers per liter in the city, which isn't bad. And then you can get as much as 13 to 15 kilometers per liter out on the highway, which is actually really, really good. Now this has made it to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and I must say that it works seamlessly. I'm cruising right now at 100 kilometers an hour, and the tachometer is well below 2000 RPM. So really, you don't need more gears than 6. Now some would argue that this may have been better mated to a diesel engine, but I think the 2-liter turbocharged engine suits this just fine because it provides a really refined experience. So I personally wouldn't have it any other way. Again, the drive has been very relaxing. The only thing that's been stressful about it are the left lane hoggers who refuse to stay on the right side of the road when you're out on the freeway. The GAC GN8 can be yours for 2,958,000 pesos. And I know that's not cheap, but neither are you. But on a serious note, you'll be hard-pressed to find something that offers this much luxury and comfort within the same price point. And besides, you owe it to yourself. Given how hard you work, you deserve this. Thanks for watching.